Joining us now is infectious disease expert, Dr. Rontgene Solante. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. You were one of the experts who approved the use of this second booster for the general population. Why is there a need for the second one?
Okay, so let's put this into context, Rico. No? The priority group should be the immunocompromised and the elderly population, because we know that the impact of giving the second booster, especially second booster, will protect against severe infection among this population. But when we look at data, even among the general population, there is really waning protection after 6 months. And that also involves the general population, that they're also at risk, not necessarily high risk, but still at risk of getting the infection and developing severe COVID. So this is the decision. We can give the second booster based on those data 6 months after. So which means that if you have received your first booster 6 months ago, then you are eligible to get the second booster. That protection will now be increased, especially for an infection, for getting the infection, and more importantly, protecting us against the more severe infections at the general population level.
But Doc, the Philippines is behind much of the world with the rollout of this second booster. Are there fears of another major community transmission of COVID-19 after this Holy Week break?
Well, that's always expected. When you have a holiday, when you have people gathering, you have a lot of this doesn't anymore wearing face masks, and you have an Omicron variant that is still circulating in our country, then expected that there will be increase in the infection, but not, I don't think, enough to really put the hospital full. You know? So the essence here is that when we will be giving the second booster, we will be encouraging the general population. If they want to be protected, against severe infection, then this is now the time that they're waiting. Because a lot of this general population were waiting 6 months or 8 months ago. That why are they left in terms of the recommendation of the second booster? Why only the vulnerable population, or why only the immunocompromised, when they also themselves, the general population, are also at risk, although lower compared to the vulnerable population?
We heard earlier in that report of Paige Javier, Secretary Vergere saying that the available second booster brands are Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. But when I really move around some of the local government units, they always tell me, Doc Rontgene, that the only one that's available right now is Pfizer. So for those who have already had AstraZeneca and Moderna, I mean, just for clarification, is it possible to mix and match your second booster?
Yes, that's part of our recommendation, that regardless of what vaccine booster or first booster you receive, whether it's a Pfizer, it's a Moderna, or an Astra, if what is available in the local government unit that is to be given for a second booster, then that is acceptable. So that is what we call heterologous second booster.
And there has been a lot of talk about the rollout, particularly in other Western countries, of the bivalent vaccines. When are we likely to have supply of these bivalent vaccines, which basically is for the other COVID-19 variants and the Omicron?
Okay. First is that, yes, if it's good if we have the bivalent vaccine, although we're waiting for its arrival, and I think there are some minor kinks in the procurement of the bivalent vaccine because of some legal issues, but I think it will be soon available. But again, based on the data, Rico, whether it's a bivalent or it's a monovalent, still it can still protect us against infection or severe infection. So, meaning we don't need to wait for the bivalent. If what is available now is the monovalent, take it. The bivalent vaccine will arrive. The population that will be prioritized then will be the immunocompromised, the healthcare workers, and the elderly population, because it's only like 1 million doses, no? And more or less that will be the priority population.
And for those, Doc, that already have the second booster, and if they say they have it next week or week after next, after how many months should they be getting the bivalent vaccine, or should they still get a third booster? What should be the combination after the second booster?
Okay, so if there will be a third booster, then this will be for the population that are immunocompromised, the healthcare workers, and the elderly. And again, the third booster, which will be a bivalent vaccine, will now be given at least 4 to 6 months interval from the last second booster that that individual received.
Because there are a lot of questions right now, Doc, that COVID-19 is already reaching the endemic phase. Are we already in it?
Well, when we define endemicity, it's something like it's in the environment, it's in the community, and it's not causing disruption to our life. It's not causing a higher number of mortality. Well, I think we are now in that part of this pandemic, which means that cases are manageable, although there are still infections, but there's still risk for severe infection for the vulnerable population. And that alone is an important factor to consider why we are still giving or encouraging people to get the vaccine, because added layer of protection and enhancing our population wall of immunity.
So are you saying then, Doc, for all our viewers right now, that it is mandatory for them to get that second booster?
Yes, it's definitely mandatory for me. I encourage them to get it, because if you want to maintain that level of wall of immunity so that people will still be protected, then that's the reason why I think in most countries with a very good booster population, even with the highly evading Omicron variant, they were still able to cope up and less mortality, less severe cases.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Rontgene Solante, thank you so much for your insights.